can you introduce yourself and outline the brief you are following?
Okay, so my name is Evie Gibbons, and the brief I'm following is a promotion package for the release of an album, which includes a music video together with a website for an artist and a digipack for the album's release. And the artist I chose was Astrid S.
What practice exercises have you undertaken prior to your full initial rough cut?
So I have done no practice exercises before my initial rough cut, except for AS, where I learned how to cut and basically film. That's where I learned the skills, basically. But I did make a few sample scenes, which I can show you. So I made a sample scene which included my performance footage and some cutaway shots, sort of nature, like that. And I filmed all this in the summer, so this was before we even started the year. So. So the performance footage is basically lip syncing footage of the singer singing, basically. It's really cringy because it's me. But then I found out that I'm not going to use a lot of this footage actually because it's not dancey enough. So. That was the only bit where I actually kind of moved.
What steps have you taken to learn to use audio-visual hardware?
So from AS, I learned many skills on how to use Final Cut Pro, which is an editing software which I have on my laptop, and so skills, for example, like cutting videos and putting a background on a green screen thing. So basically, if you filmed someone in front of a green screen, basically learning how to change the green screen background to make it black, for example, or to make it white, or put another background on it instead. So I learned that skill, as I can show you a video where I did. So I made, for AS mainly, I made videos on how to do these things. So for example, so that was the footage that I filmed, and so then I went to this effect and then dragged it onto it, and then I put another shot on top of it, so that replaces the background. Okay. So yeah, that's just an example of one of the skills I learned on Final Cut Pro. And that's what Final Cut Pro looks like, by the way.
Okay. Cool. Tell me how you use Blogger and Final Cut Pro, and what have you learned? How do you use these?
So, as I've already mentioned, for Final Cut Pro, I've learned some simple skills, which I told you already. But for Blogger, I learned things like how to add a links list, and which I'll show you in a minute, and also basically so inserting a read more link in your blog post. So if you want someone to not see all the writing you put, you just press a read more link so they can read more. And also how to embed links on it through embed codes, for example, for YouTube clips. So if you want to embed a YouTube clip, you have to get the embed code and then put it on the blog post. So I'll show you. So this is on how to add a links list. So you go to layout and then so basically this was like a screen recording of me showing how to do it. So basically you take the link of the post that you want to be in the links list. So links is basically on your blog, on the side, you have a list of posts which you put in basically a list, and basically it takes you to the post. So these are links lists.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Have you used any other softwares for your coursework?
So for my Digipack mainly for my Digipack, I've also used Adobe Photoshop. I haven't exactly started making this Digipack yet, but I've tried some little editing techniques on Photoshop already. So
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm missing. Alright, is this your first podcast?
So this is not my first podcast. I've been making weekly/monthly podcasts ever since the start of the summer, so before I even started filming. And basically I want to make these up weekly so that they update my production process. So I just say things like what I've done since the last podcast, like I've done filming, I've learnt conventions, I've made VODCASTs, I've done research, basically just say all those things in the podcasts. And yeah, so I've wrote a script for 11 of them at the moment, but I've only produced a podcast for 6 of them yet, so I still have to finish them.
Okay. What role have VODCAST played in your pre-production?
So I've made podcasts on general music video conventions, general Digipack conventions, and electropop genre Digipack conventions. So it's helped me basically really grasp the conventions of music videos in the genre that I'm doing. So I'm doing electropop. And also I've done a podcast on general website conventions. So for what you usually see on a website, that's what conventions are basically. So I'll just like give you a brief example of what I mean by podcasts. So it's basically where you talk about conventions through illustrating, through images, and you say what you've found after looking at many examples. You say this is the general thing like that.
I will highlight some examples for each convention I will be discussing. To start with, I will describe what a Digipack is structurally. This in itself is a convention. For this convention, I will be looking at this one example and then
It's basically you look at examples and say what you found after looking at so many.
Require everything now for this convention.
Yeah, I'll just skip that.
This is the sheet.
Fine.
The next convention is
So
official.
that you use titles to say the convention 1, convention 2, convention 3.
Which say things like exclusive limited edition, features live versions of
Yes,
songs, plus 2 extra songs exclusive. The vinyl example for House Use Hopeless Fountain Kingdom has a sticker on the front panel.
Basically, you can like zoom in on the part that you're talking about so that the person watching it understands what you're talking about exactly. So yeah, that's what a podcast is. Yeah.
Would you say that along the way you've become an expert in conventions, audience, and institutions through your own research? And what do you think you still need to do the most work on?
So as I've already told you about the conventions, that research that I've done, and also for audience, I've done research by, I did this Facebook survey, so I made a Facebook survey which said all the fonts that I could possibly use for my website. I put a picture of each font, so the artist name *S in each of different fonts, and then I asked people to fill the survey out, saying which one they preferred the most out of all 7, and that helped me understand what the audience want and want to see. So yeah. think that's it.
Okay. What are the strengths of your blog?
Okay, so my strengths are my VODCAST, as you've seen, and some of my pre-production posts. So I posted sample scenes, the one that I showed you, and also half rough cut. I still don't have a full rough cut, but I've got half one. So yeah, and also pre-production in terms of like mood boards, storyboards, costume research, yeah, things like that. So.
Okay. Being brief but clear, what is your production concept and what audience is it targeted at? And briefly describe the evolution of this, including any narrative work, title, track, or changes.
So the artist I've chosen is Astrid S, as I said. The track I've chosen by her is called Bloodstream, and the narrative of it is basically a girl on a journey of grief, struggling to move on from an ex-boyfriend. And basically in the video she strolls around at night, going to all the places that she went with her ex, and having constant thoughts about him, missing him, and it's indicated through her like smudged makeup that she's been crying and everything. So yeah, that's the narrative of it.
I see. Looking back, what stages in your production are you now at? And being specific, please, what is your schedule for completing this?
So I'm almost finished with all my films. I only have 2 more scenes to film, so I have to film this underwater scene. So I'm planning to go to a swimming pool, but I need to ask permission to go to a swimming pool to film underwater. But I'd just be filming myself swimming underwater, and I'll try and make it go cool afterwards. But basically, yeah, I'm in my music video, so
okay.
I get someone else to film me, but I show the evidence of directing, that I've directed them and what to film. And the other scenes is basically I need to film more shots of the couple, you know, flashbacks of the couple doing things together, so like going to the cinema and things like that. And yeah, I plan to film the underwater scene on Saturday. I'm going to ask permission today to film at the swimming pool. So.
Cool. What stage? Oh no. Sorry. Looking back, what do you think has been your biggest mistake in the process?
So I think not keeping up to date with the blogging process. So forgetting to update weekly podcasts, which leave me having to try and remember what I did in this week. So like if you don't keep posting podcasts every week, it's really difficult to try and remember what you did in that week. So for example, now I've kind of left it a bit too long, so I've got to try and remember back what I did exactly. So that's been quite difficult, and also remembering to just keep up to date with everything. So
cool. What have you found most difficult?
Basically the same thing that I just said,
Okay.
just keeping up to date.
What have you found most rewarding?
So I think filming the footage, then watching the footage over again, and then realising how good it looks. And especially when you edit just like a little sample of the footage on Final Cut Pro, you edit it. So for example, I put a slow motion effect on the footage, and then I watch it, and then I'm like, wow, that actually looks really good, exactly what I wanted when I was filming it. And also when you edit a rough cut, I like to watch it back because I like seeing the footage that I've filmed. It just makes it just quite rewarding. So.
Cool. To finish up, what do you think will most impress outside observers about your media work?
So I think the special effects that I'm going to use, so for example double exposure, I'll show you the effect that I'm talking about. It looks really cool, I think. So it's basically kind of like this.
Okay.
That's not that great, but I'll show you another one. I had a... So I'll show you this. So you can see here,
Oh, okay.
that's the effect I want in the music video. Yeah, so that's just a tutorial of how to do it. And I also want to use that effect on my digipack, so for the album front cover, so it would be a picture of me, the artist, and then have a picture. At the moment I'm thinking of putting a picture of the city that she's strolling in at night time over her, so that would look like so basically this kind of effect. That's just an image though, that's not a video. So I really liked the...
Yeah, it's a cool effect.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hope to do that, and also for the music video I'm going to have a fast editing pace. I think that would impress people, and also the slow motion effect that I'm going to use, and layering as well, so layering one video over another, so it goes like that basically. Well,
Okay.
Yeah. And also the graphic design of the website and the digipack, so basically like the layout of and the fonts chosen, and basically if the website flows and things like that, I think that would be quite impressive to someone looking at it. And also for the images for the website and for the digipack, I plan to use effects like that one I showed you, double exposure, and yeah, so I'll show you now the layering effect. So basically one video with another, so you can it's kind of see-through, so one video is see-through, so you can see the other video.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. That's it.